Hi there, I'm Greg Dixon and here with Betty Withrow, and we're going to talk about book publishing options and considerations. Betty has quite a bit of experience with this as a ghostwriter for a number of authors and across a bunch of platforms. And I have some experiences. Recently, I've been helping somebody put their books up on Amazon Direct Publishing and doing that. And I've been following the whole self-publishing thing for quite a while. And just recently, a friend of mine asked about what considerations there are for publishing, getting landing a publishing deal with a regular traditional publisher or self-publishing, and do the two can ever coexist? So that's going to be our conversation today. And Betty, maybe you can tell us a bit about your background and experience.
Sure, Greg. Thank you. I'm Betty Withrow, and I'm a writer myself. I'm also a ghostwriter, as Greg pointed out, an editor, and a writing coach. So if you're in the middle of writing your book and it hasn't quite gelled for you, I can give you direction and support to help pull that together. In terms of writing and publishing, there's the first and last question. I always say this is, what do you want this book to do? Because that's going to inform everything about how you go your process, what your book turns out to be like, where you market it, where you publish it, and everything else about your book, including what it does in and around your life, which is that, your book is part of your life. Your life is part of your book. So they go together. For publishing, the world of publishing has changed a lot in the last generation. It used to be that it was called vanity publishing when you self-published, and it was kind of considered not very cool. Like, let's just say it that way. And I think that the culture has changed tremendously since Kindle Direct Publishing came on, and people do publish their own works, and it's a recognized form of putting your work out, and nobody looks down on it or poo-poos it or anything. It's simply one form of putting together and marketing your book. At the same time, getting into traditional publishing houses has become quite a challenge that can be insurmountable for people who aren't really, really determined and or have a lot of connections or resources. So let me tell you a little bit about my self-publishing experience. The first time that I self-published a book, I purchased a publishing package from a company, and they did a great job of formatting and putting it together and everything. Actually, the best part of that package was the editor. The editor was amazing. He made my book much better than it would have been. And so I highly recommend getting at least one good editor to look at your book and go through it, because it's going to bring out insights that you would not have had without that other pair of eyes and that mind going into it. But having said that, I found that it would have been, in the long run, easier for me and less expensive to have simply uploaded it onto Amazon instead of going with the print option that company offered. So I had founded my own publishing company called Creative Victory Publishing, and used that house to do the work. And then later, as I gained more experience, I went, hey, that was a learning experience, as it's called. And as I said, the editor made the book much better. However, my second book, I uploaded onto Amazon myself, and I found it to be a really good way to go about doing it. It didn't cost me money to do that. And because of the nature of the book, it was a workbook that went with the first book, it was the right option to do. My third book, I also self-published, and I found that really Kindle is a good option for several reasons. First of all, the cost, and another one is that you can get print copies at print cost. So your idea of what you want your book to do is, for example, something that you sell at the back of the room at speaking events, or that you sell to your friends and things like that. That's a great way. Or say you have somebody who's a client of yours who orders a stack of books. This happened as well. Then I was able to provide that person with the stack of books that he wanted at lesser cost to him and greater profit for me. Nice, good. So that's one aspect of self-publishing. However, when you self-publish on Amazon, you're also doing something else. You're removing from this particular book the option of taking it to a traditional publisher. They don't want to be second in line. So if you do want to go to a traditional publisher, there's a couple of things you can do. One is to hire somebody who I know a person referred to, who can walk into the publishers' houses with a portfolio full of new manuscripts, and they say, "What do you have?" And she'll pitch your book for you, make sure you get a deal, and there you go. However, nowadays, publishers also want more than they used to want. They want you to have a social media following. They want, different kinds of connections and things that may not have been part of the picture originally. And also, even when you get a traditional publishing gig, which may include an advance, you are still expected to promote the book yourself. So again, it comes back to what you want the book to do. If you want the book to support you on the stage as a speaker, then having it simply published on Amazon is a perfectly acceptable option. And many, many people do exactly that for all the reasons I just outlined. There's another story I have about a friend of mine who's a mystery writer and was a book marketer for decades and decades, and now is actually writing books herself and has quite a few books that she's put out in her series. So how she did it is this. She published her first 3 books on Lulu, which is another of the self-publishing, there's a number of different companies. There's Lulu, there's Vermonte, there's Ingram Spark. Anyway, my friend went with Lulu. She published 3 books and then put together a pitch letter to a publishing house and said, "This is my series. This is the concept of my series. If you'd like to pick up this series, I can do this, this, and this for you." And she wrote a really, really good pitch letter. And she got a contract. She got a contract for 4 more books. So she wrote those 4 more books and then another contract. So now she's working with traditional publishers in the crime genre and, is part of authors groups and crime writers groups and things like that, and networks constantly in that arena. So that is how I did it. It's a lot of work to do it. It's not impossible. It's just a really matter of sussing out, okay, who are the publishers that publish your genre, for instance. There are Christian publishers who specialize in certain types of manuscripts. There are smaller houses who specialize in special kinds of manuscripts, and it's well worth doing the research on those because those are going to be easier to get to than somebody like Simon & Schuster or Random House or any of those things. Those businesses reject 1,000 manuscripts a week. So you might be the one who makes it. You never know. So that's kind of my take on the whole thing, Greg.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fabulous, and that was part of the discussion here. Is how does the self-publishing and traditional publishing fit in, and what trade-offs you have. So your friend there was able to leverage that into getting a book deal, and I think a few famous authors got there that way, but it's not. I think it's just difficult anyway to get anything published. And you and I were talking earlier, in somewhat in the music industry, it's unless you win The Voice or the American Idol, you're probably not going to just send a note to a music publisher, a label, and get a contract. They almost want you to prove that you've got a following, you've got your social media stuff, everything in place, that you can sell the thing to yourself. I think that the other thing you mentioned is, at the end of the day, you're still responsible for selling your own books. So, like if you're not willing to get out on the the speaking trail or go tour and go do things, then it's probably not going to go anywhere. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you are a ghostwriter, and you're an editor too, and you mentioned that it's really helpful to help somebody to get to the point. I guess your part of the process is getting everything ready so that you can either self-publish it or send it to pitch it to traditional publishers.
Yeah, yeah, that is basically what I do. I specialize in the word part of the manuscript. You know, putting together making the language good, making the pages flow well. You know, making the concepts clear, and all those types of things. And if a person decides to self-publish on different platforms, you know, or say form their own publishing company, I can also refer to people who do printing, and they're very, very good. So and that's kind of the middle ground. Like, say, for instance, there's an author who I was one of her editors on a recent book that was released, Nancy Gear's Bundle Your Brilliance book, and she had it printed by a very fine designer, and got her own ISBNs and did the whole thing. And it's in an independent publishing format, but she went through all the design work and everything to make the book exactly the way she wanted it to be. So it has a really professional appearance. For a lot, because of what it's about. It's about writing, about building and teaching courses for all kinds of people, corporate and coaches, everybody else who wants to have a course. Check out the book because it's wonderful. Anyway, so yeah, what I do is for a basic manuscript, get the whole thing together, ready to upload. If it has something more sophisticated in it, like say Nancy's book has a lot of tables and things that you want to get exactly right, and having it formatted for different, you know, for print and for Kindle and everything else, it's a little bit more involved. But for most books, that's a really great way to go, is to do the upload onto Kindle. And it's, you know, it's also something that you do, Greg, and I do as well. And we've kind of kicked around the idea of reviving you as publisher and you know, combining our efforts with the new knowledge that we have these days. So
Yeah,
we can qualify as a small house.
a very small house. Yeah. So
Yes.
my publishing history is I have Rocket Norton is somebody I've known for a while. He was a drummer with a band called Prism, and he wrote a book called Rocket Norton Lost in Space. I think the subtitle was Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll in the 60s, 70s, and 80s or something. And so I put it up. The precursor to Prism was a band called The Seeds of Time, and I put his book as a PDF on a DVD, on a CD, really DVD, that they sold at a little street party. It was called Days. I don't know. It was Hippie Days, DAZE or something in the West End,
Yeah.
and Hippie Days. And anyway, the former manager for the band bought the little DVD for $10 or something, and then he decided to chip in money to print the book. So we printed the book. I just ran over. My brother had a copy of it just sitting out there, and he somehow moved it. I don't know. He committed a neatness on the place and moved the book. So I don't know, but I was going to show you what it looked like. And anyway, so that we've gone through probably 3 traditional printings where we just printed the book and sold it themselves. I think I sold the last copy for a premium twice because we decided to go back and get more. But we're not going to do that anymore. So we're probably gonna the Kindle book is on Amazon right now, but we're going to introduce the print book on Kindle Direct Publishing, just because, as you said, he can order copies 1 at a time or 5 at a time or 10 at a time,
Right.
rather than get a crate of them that we have to sell. So
Yeah, and that's a lot to say, you know, because, you know, for instance, the printer that I mentioned, you know, he doesn't even really want to do it unless it's at least 100, 500 books,
yeah,
you know, and
it's a lot of money to put up front, and just shipping it. So this is more convenient. And Rocket's written a number of other books, like fiction books that I've been putting up. And that's, he doesn't, we haven't gone through the thing, all the shenanigans to try to get to be an Amazon bestseller. His point is that he mostly wants to get it up there so he can print copies himself and give them away to friends, right? It's a convenient
it's a nice thing to be able to do.
Yeah. So
I have where's that copy of my book? Because I have a book called The Essential Excuse Handbook, which, I don't have it right in front of me, but I put that up on Kindle, and it's a fun book. It's an easy read, and if somebody wants it for their coaching business, buy a bunch of copies, ship it off to them, done.
Yeah. No, it's a perfect platform for that, for sure. Yeah, the other one I've been looking at is Book Baby, which is the kind of, I've got some audio stuff published on CD Baby, and one of the options is everything that pays, right? So they just send it out to every kind of streaming service and things you've never even heard of, right? And we look at, I look at the reports once in a while. Now with those, with music stuff, they have like on Spotify, you might get 1/1000th of a cent per play or something, so every couple of years we get enough money to go and have lunch.
Very good. Yeah, well, I think one of that is really important is it still goes back to that same old question of what do you want this to do? If you're a speaker and you put your book on Amazon and you say I've got a book, then you get onto a speaking platform. Okay, and another author I worked with recently, and a better one, because they want to know, how serious are you about your topic? Another person I worked with put together a book on resources for families with disabled children. Starts with her story of waking up from giving birth to find out she had a Down syndrome son, and how she came to terms with that, how she dealt with that, the resources and community and faith that she gained as a result of that. And it turned into a very fine book. And guess what? Now she's speaking at conferences and making the most of that book to make the lives of other people better, contributing to the community of people who have disabled children, and informing them about the different options that they have for dealing with legal situations, educational matters, building the faith, getting support and everything. And another upside of writing that book was that she told me she never thought she'd feel joy going back through her son's baby pictures. And now she feels that joy. Her life is much more complete. And she's able to bring that light out into the world too. So I'm very proud of Linda Bonner and her book called Waiting on the Sunrise.
Yeah. So going back to why you're writing the book, so she wanted to help as many people as possible. That a book's a great thing because even you'll sure to outlive you, and if it can go on and just helping people for a long time. And the other thing is, in the context of our total traffic and conversion collaboration, we think of books also in terms of opening some doors for marketing and promotion of your own business, because nothing says authority like I wrote the book. So
exactly. Yeah. And if someone says, you're applying for a speaking engagement or you're invited to speak, and you say, yes, like you just said, right, Greg, I wrote the book. I wrote the book on whatever your topic is.
Marketing,
I wrote the book on marketing. I wrote the book on total traffic and conversion. It will happen eventually.
Yeah, it will come. Yeah, we've got until next Wednesday, I guess, for the first draft.
Okay, I like a good line that you get moving, Yeah. But that, now that I said it, I guess I'm going to have to do it. But we'll see how it all rolls out. Total traffic and conversion, like you just mentioned, books are part of it. Having amazing and engaging content is part of it, and having a knowledgeable and accurate strategy for how to optimize your online presence is the sum total of it. So it's
Yeah.
more than the sum of its parts.
More than the sum of its parts. Get everything rowing in the same direction, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Better than having one oar in the water and going around circles.
Well, that's true, and yeah.
The
So
other,
your book can do it. Your book can take you to a new place.
yeah, your book can do it. And as you mentioned, your friend there, even the process of just writing the book helped with some catharsis, I guess, or coming to a different understanding of things. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, this was a woman who wanted to write that book for over 15 years, and it had been in the I would really love to do this someday department. And instead, it came into sharper focus and then massive action, incredible momentum, and reality. And
yeah,
it transformed her awareness of who she is. I mean, when I talk to her now, she has a whole different sense of what's possible for her to do in her life.
yeah,
Like that's what I love about it.
yeah. No, that's perfect. So I think our encouragement is for anybody who's thinking about writing a book, go and write the book, and we can
Yeah,
worry about the publishing options later. Come back and talk to us again. But write
yeah,
write the book, and you know, there's no harm in it. Maybe even start a couple of ones, see what inspires you to this week.
yeah.
So,
That that can be a good way.
yeah. So
The first book, what I thought was going to be my first book turned out to not be my first book at all. In fact, I haven't even written that book yet. I may never
yeah,
write it.
yeah, yeah,
That's how it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so that I think we can leave that on an encouraging note for one is to, if you haven't thought about writing a book, to consider writing a book. And then if you're somewhere down the process, you need help with the writing process or editing, talk to Betty, and maybe down the road we'll maybe can help you make some decisions about where's the best place to publish and how to go about doing that.
Yeah. 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 And also where's the best place to market? Because we're marketers and we also know other marketers who specialize in certain things. So
Yeah,
we're here for it.
we're here for you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here for you. Yeah, yeah. We have you especially have a lot of people, a lot of connections in book publishing, book writing, book formatting. So all of that stuff, and I've got some connections too, and yeah, we can help you in many ways. So
Yeah.
yeah. Any final words for our audience today?
Um, Yeah, I encourage you to, as Greg said, write your book. Start telling people that you're writing a book, so you can't back out because they're going to start asking you what book is. And then reach out to me and see what I might be able to do to support you.
Yeah,
One of my great joys is to coach people through their books and make that book happen for real, not just in your mind.
yeah, not just in your mind. I've got a funny
Yeah.
thing. I've ended up signing autographs for books that I hadn't written yet. It's a very funny thing. So there's a
Yeah.
karmic debt there. I have to actually publish the books now because
Yes,
I've already given the autograph for it.
that's right. That's why I say start talking about it. People ask me, when do you start marketing your book? I'm like, as soon as you think about writing it,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
right now.
right now, right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, online courses are the same kind of thing too. You start marketing it right away, get
Mm-hmm.
pre-sales so you can afford to create it if
Right?
you can.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Yeah,
of those things. Yeah.
all of those things.
Good stuff.
Okay, well, I guess that's all for now. Thanks for joining us. I hope this was helpful, and I'm sure there will be people out there who will encouraged to start their books now. Talk to you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just do
Go
it.
ahead. Just do it.